being able to see yourself, honestly, is true freedom. The reason it's so liberating is it unties all of the knots that hold us in place and keep us suffering, keep us repeating things that don't bring us happiness. And part of that is looking at agendas. So in this video, I'm going to share some of my agendas that I've discovered in my life that you don't really want to look at, but when you do, you become the real you and you get free. So the idea is self-truth and just going deep with it, and hopefully you guys see value in it, because we get in these arguments in relationships and stuff, and oftentimes it's like encounter therapy. I mean, there's actual groups that get together and just encounter each other for months at a time or weeks at a time just to reflect what they see on each other. But the problem with that is everybody's in a certain level of consciousness, and again, there's nothing wrong with whatever level you're in, but oftentimes people can't see themselves. And then the other problem is when people reflect on them, oftentimes they're projecting, or their reflection is some effort to protect the ego, to protect them being right. So they're projecting something that allows them to keep their limiting beliefs, and it just becomes this projection of mirror, and then the ground is the truth, and you just get clear up in this total bullshit. You ever been in an argument and you've been like, I forgot the reason we started arguing? It's like, that's so funny, because really, when you look at this stuff, again, the reason to look at it is freedom. I know nobody wants to look at it, but do it, because it's freedom. When you look at this stuff, you start to see that really all you're doing is trying to protect yourself, right? And it's funny, the word narcissism, it's like thrown around so much, misused in so many ways. But the truth of that is that anybody operating from ego is narcissistic. So getting back to agendas, like when we really look at what we're doing, I remember talking to a buddy one time, and he's like, I don't even remember, this was like 10 years ago. He's like, I know you have an agenda, and I stopped and I thought about it, and I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I have an agenda. Like, doesn't everybody have an agenda? Like, what are you trying to do right now, right? And so, as I started looking into that, because that was really intriguing to me, I'm like, everybody's programmed to believe agendas are bad, like, oh, he's got an agenda. And oftentimes the agendas are self-serving. That's what we're going to talk about in this video, which just ends up bringing you pain, so they can be bad. But we've got this something surrounding this word that's like a program that it's bad, right? He's on an agenda, but you're on an agenda. So what are your agendas? What are you truly trying to do? And when I started looking at this, I'll give you an example on making videos. Like, I used to make videos back when I was more in spiritual ego. I'm sure I'm probably still in spiritual ego in some ways right now, but back when I was more in spiritual ego, I was making these videos, and my whole idea was being altruistic. I want to help people, and then, but when I really looked at it, why am I really doing what I'm doing? I'm trying to make myself feel better. I'm trying to get likes. I'm trying to feel the insecurities of my ego. And what we notice when we're honest with each other is we're really just arguing. When we get in arguments or when we set agendas, we're really just arguing to keep our smallness. And that's the ironic thing. It's like we are the ones that are trapping ourselves. And so when you start to undo that, it just gets free, and you don't have to defend, you don't have to resist, you don't have to restrict, you don't have to close your heart anymore. And it's like, and this is something that, like, if there's 360 degrees perspective, like, you may have to do it from all these different angles, right? You may have to look at it from all these different ways. And that is the work of just kind of undoing all the lies and stuff that we're caught in. And so I question you, do you have an agenda? Like, when you do things, why do you do what you do? And the idea here is to explore this and to look at your true motivations. Like, what are you really doing and why? And what you'll find, if you're honest, most of us are operating in ego, and everybody else is too, right? So it's like, oh, it's okay because everybody is. Well, it's okay if you want to suffer. The idea is to start to unravel this so you can get more unconditional love, you can get more open heart, you can have more acceptance, more surrender, and flow with the current of life rather than trying to swim upstream. But when you start looking at it, what you'll find in most cases is that you're really doing everything for yourself. Pretty much. I mean, there's exceptions. There's, things like being a mother and things like that are beautiful, and there are exceptions. But even when, a lot of the stuff we do when we're working, when we're on social media, everything we're doing is trying to fulfill ourselves. And what we're trying to fulfill is this false self, which can never be fulfilled, by the way. You may have noticed that. And it's really funny, too, because at our core, who we really are when we're not identified with the false self is something that never needs anything, because it's already everything. And that, I'm not going to go into that on this video because it's a whole nother video. But so it's living in this false self where we have to like keep filling it up, because it's an illusion, it's fake, it's false. And so we end up having all these agendas. And so if you can start to look at why are you doing what you do, and you can be honest, and this isn't a time to be critical of yourself or judgmental, but it's time to be completely honest. Like, this is the self-honesty, and you start to see what you're really doing, and you're like, holy shit, I am a narcissist. You start to see, like, and most people can't do that. Most people don't want to do that. They just don't. Like, what'll happen is they'll look at it and they'll be like, am I? And then their ego will pop in and say, to protect itself, no, I read this book and I saw it on Instagram. It means this, this, and this. I'm not those things. The other person is those things. And it'll just like stand in its ground, put another cement block up around you, blocking you from your own reality. And that's the thing, man. You got to be able to go past that ego mind and really look at it. So one of the exercises I like to do is when someone says something judgmental or critical about me, you usually will find that your immediate response is, fuck you, that ain't true, right? Or no, that's not my truth. And either if you're not saying that, maybe you're wearing a mask and you're like, okay, I'll take a look at it. But inside you're like, so stupid, this person doesn't even know me. Like you're pay attention to what your mind's doing. Watch the mind. That's what this is all about. Watch that ego mind, and you'll see how often it lies to you to protect you. What it's really doing is it's protecting itself, and it's protecting your suffering and your pain. And so when someone says something critical to you, my exercise that I like to do is I like to look at 5 different ways that could be true. And this opens up that trap, takes away those blocks that the ego's putting up. Like, I don't want to look at myself, I'm perfect, or we don't think we're perfect, but the truth is we look for reasons to stay right. We look for reasons to stay trapped. And so if you can train yourself to say, okay, this person said this about me, and relationships are great reflections, right? This person says this about me, so let me just go and look and see how it might be true. Let me go see if I can prove it to be true. And what happens then is you open up this whole other side. It's like this dark area that was previously unseen to you. We're so blinded by our egos, we don't even realize like how much truth is there. And this truth sets you free, and you're like, holy shit, okay. And you should be excited about that, because then you have something you can work towards, you can lean into. It brings in fear, you lean into it, and you're like, wow, now you have perspective on yourself that you didn't have before. And you can start to unravel that and move through it. So what agendas do we have? If you really look at it, our whole life is agenda after agenda after agenda. And you know what the agendas are? They're how do I get more of what I want and less of what I don't want. And do you know what those things are? Desire and fear. And do you know what those things are? Suffering. Even Buddha said it. If you don't believe me, just go read any of the spiritual texts. All of our suffering comes from desire and fear. So really, the ego is a self-perpetuating thing, and that's why there's so many people like hurting other people, and they're just and this whole thing that we're defending and that we're doing, whether it's a world war or it's a argument with a friend or it's a relationship, like this whole thing we're doing is to protect something that isn't even real, because we never had the courage to look at it. That's why the spiritual path is like just openness and love, and it's like you just let go of this falseness. It takes time, and you have to be graceful with yourself, and you have to Because when you start to look at it, it's, you start to see that you're not what you thought you were. That's a pretty big blow for the ego. Start to realize that you got some work to do, or you got some letting go to do. This is a deconstruction process. That's another thing too. This whole thing is undoing programs. It's not adding programs. It's letting go of things, false beliefs, ideals, concepts, just letting go of the stuff. And the reason is it's freeing, and this is the only thing that works, guys. It doesn't. You got to see the truth in yourself. And you have to do it yourself. Use other people that trigger you as a mirror and do the work and be freaking honest. Realize that your first response is going to be from the ego. So is your second. So is your third. So is your fourth. When you look at what they said, you're going to come up with 4, 5, maybe 6 justifications before you get to the actual truth. So be aware of that. Be aware. Watch your mind. Watch how it lies to protect you when it's actually harming you. That's what this is really about. If you truly sit back in the seat of self, use the roar method, go back to the seat of self, go back here and watch that thing. Watch what it does. And you catch it. You can catch it in 20, 30 lies in one day. Because it thinks it's protecting you, but it's protecting the false part of you that is bringing you pain. So that's what I've learned on my journey, like undoing so much false bullshit, man. And funny thing is, when you start doing self-truth, it's hard because no one else is playing that game. Everyone else is still just in the say what I need to say to be liked, say what I need to say to be right, say what I need to say to make them feel like they're right so that they accept me. Like, it's just this big game of masks and strings and it's just stupid. And most people are in that. And most people spend their whole life playing that game so that they don't have to look at themselves. It's sad when you actually break out of it and you're like, holy shit. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. All right. Take a look at it. Let me know what you think. Peace. Should sign off. Nope. Gotta hit the stop button.